Well, welcome to this Thanksgiving Eve class. Attendance is so modest. Maybe I should have paid more attention to the calendar. This is such a rich and fascinating stuff. I mean, it's like a panoply of a host of different false flags. And when you get into it and see how they're done, they become rather obvious. I think at this point in time, if you've watched How to Spot a False Flag Part 1 and How to Spot a False Flag Part 2, you definitely have the idea. Did did any of you not get a chance to watch those, the part 1 and part 2? Then you had a homework or extra credit with Catherine, where we had a extended version because she had so many great comments when we were going on. It wound up in 4 parts. Alex, I know you've watched it. Has everyone else, has anyone not been able to watch part 1 and part 2?
Yeah, I've watched them before, so yeah.
Because I thought we'd take a tour through some of these and I just talk about some of the key elements, that are pretty effing obvious once you get into it. And Monique, had you had a chance to watch How to Spot
I,
a False Flag 1 and 2?
no, the dog ate my homework, so go ahead and do your tour.
Well, I thought because of Thanksgiving, we might, particularly given that we have only about half the class, we might have a shorter class tonight, but I will certainly talk about some of these cases. And let's uh, begin with this was an earlier version. You wouldn't, even if you watched it, you wouldn't have seen this because it has some elements that I changed the next time I did it, it appears. We know, of course, who I am. We know the difference between confirmationist and falsificationist methodology. And I think at this point in time, the virtues of falsification ought to be very apparent. Meanwhile, this obviously was for a more general presentation. Truth is correspondence to reality of the way things are, sorting out reality from illusion. The criterion of truth, how we judge what we take to be true, is the coherence of the evidence. When the evidence is authentic, we know the stage of the scientific reasoning and the nature of inference to the best explanation, different kinds of impossibility, logical, physical, technical. This is just from the Morgan Hotel. You'll remember from our review of the moon landing and how we know we didn't go on Bloomsbury Street. The conspiracy theory, did we land on the moon? Moon photographic anomalies. This is the part here that is not in other versions. Moon dust either retains imprint or it does not. But we have inconsistent, and I'm convinced it cannot because there's no atmosphere on the moon. So that was only one extremely distant source of light to it, the sun. So it could have been no intersecting shadows. All the lines should have been parallel. The number of photos astonishing. So you have a moon rover leaving no tracks in between the wheels, suggesting it was put down by a crane on a set. On the other hand, you have this is actually from a sneaker. Remember, this set inadvertently stepped onto the stage. Then, of course, you have no shadows, intersecting shadows. You got the flag waving on the moon, which has no atmosphere, and therefore is impossible. Here again, you have multiple sources of light. Here you have that staggering number. Jack White figured out how many photographs had been taken in what period of time, where the world is supposed to believe 571 photos were taken in 4,834 minutes. I mean, think about it. If nothing but photography had been done, and look at how they were running around on the moon, the rovers, and all that, such a feat is clearly impossible. Imagine 1.19 photos every minute men were on the moon, more than a picture every 50 seconds. Yes, ridiculous. And of course, there's more there. Meanwhile, now the current version begins with these, where there was an 18-wheeler in an area where large trucks aren't even legally allowed. After allegedly hitting 84 persons, there's not a speck of blood on the truck. They cut up a pig for blood, but the bodies turned out to be mannequins. This is the area in Nice where the event occurred. Here it is more specifically the location where the truck is supposed to have mowed everybody down. This is from hitting a single deer. Look at the blood there. But from hitting 84 people, none. Meanwhile, they actually had mannequins in the street. I mean, how bad is this? So don't be surprised they try to pull these things off. This is Nick Kolestrom's book, Chronicles of False Flag Terror. He talks about 13 different cases. The Boulogne Railway Station bombing, 1980. The Israeli London Embassy bombing, 94. Trains in Madrid, 2004. Explosions in London, 2005. Heathrow Airport terror block, 2006. Amsterdam crotch bomber, 2009. Oslo terror attack, 2011. London drummer, 2013. Ukraine shoot down, 2014. Bataclan Theater, 2015. Brussels, 16. Nice, 16. Munich, 16. They were increasing the rate at which these events were taking place. Meanwhile, El Paso anomalies. Now, this is one I don't think you actually find in there now. This was very, very simple. The guy comes into this El Paso, it was like a Walmart. He's wearing pants that have cargo pockets because they're cargo pants, but when he goes out, he's no longer wearing the cargo pockets. So I point out what he decided while he was there. He got himself a new pair of shorts. Then we had the alleged Dayton shooter who actually died in Connecticut in 2014. Philly cops sprayed each other with fake blood for dramatic effect. See, here we got the cargo pants, right? And here he's arrested. What happened to his cargo pants? I mean, sometimes this stuff is so bloody amateurish, you cannot believe it. Walmart questions no one is asking. How many cameras are in a Walmart? If this shooting lasted for 20 minutes, why aren't there at least 10 consecutive hours of shooting video from 30 cameras? How in the world did the shooting continue for 20 minutes? How long does it take for people to bail from a Walmart? Say the shooting really did continue for 20 minutes. How did he not get a can of cream of mushroom soup in his left ear at 57 miles an hour from weak throw Willie? In other words, there's all kinds of ways the patrons of Walmart could have responded. I probably delivered one at about 81 miles an hour, shooting over. No, it didn't happen. Everyone went back to the toilet paper aisle rather than run out the door. I mean, it's just pathetic. Here we had the Ohio shooter, Connor Betts, who passed away in 2014. Not only that, but he lived in Connecticut, not in Ohio. He even had a sister named Morgan Betts. What are the odds? It's just, some of the absurdities. And some of these cases I haven't looked at for more than a decade. One more stage shooting to illustrate why we must give up our guns. They're reducing it to third grade level to make sure we get the point. Had it been real, he would have been taken out ASAP. Makes sense when you see the pattern of fakery. Parkland. This was a school that had 3,500 students. They actually let them go at 1 p.m. because it was Valentine's Day. And then they forgot to post obituaries for the alleged decedents. They even used a training dummy with no head and no arms in one of the classrooms. So here you have Beth Bauman, I think, was, 79, who was obviously not a student at the Parkland, but they forgot to put up all the other obituaries. This is a doozy. The camera swings around, you see what looks like a body with blood, but it's a training dummy with no head and no arms and fake blood. Here, watch it. This is so devastating.
Let's go. Run. On the wall.
So you're watching this, and you think, man, those Parkland cops are really Johnny on the spot, because there they were. You may not have paid attention to the girl was on her phone, the other one worried about her bottled water, the kid pulling his putts. But you see, Parkland gave up their cops about 10 years earlier. They don't have any Parkland cops. These were actors in police uniforms. Take another look. This is so devastating. The whole thing. The girls are doing their best to sob and cry as though they were really in fear for their life, but they weren't. You got the one kid holding his arm, cop carrying a girl out. It's all just pathetic. Once more, with feeling.
Let's go. Run. On the wall.
Well, we got to talk about this. Alex, what was most obvious to you about all this? And I mean, the Parkland fakery is just unending. We got to get several other clips, but your thoughts?
Yeah, and I don't want to spoil any other clips, but so yeah, this is not indicative of people who would be in shock. I dealt with a lot of people who had been around people who had been shot and were scared. They were in shock. You notice that there was one boy running out of there, like he was holding his arm.
Right.
There wasn't any blood on his hand or anything.
Right.
It's like he was holding his shoulder. Why was he holding his shoulder? Well, he was doing it because he was probably told to pretend like you're injured. But
Right.
these don't. So even though they aren't shooting victims, these kids, they're still victims. All right. They're still victims of the crime because they're traumatized by it, but they show no trauma. I was working a part-time thing for 4th of July. I live in Indianapolis, and I was in downtown Indianapolis, and we had a gang shooting, and there were three three kids shot. Um, and I was dealing with one. I actually had to put my finger in her leg because she was shot in her leg to to help stave off the blood till the ambulance got there. And
Yeah.
her friends and everything, yeah, they were in hysterics, but they were also in shock. And your brain, when you go through something like that, your brain enters what's called an OODA loop, and you lose all fine motor skills. You get tunnel vision. So, you don't have the presence of mind to get out your cell phone and start recording, or get out your cell phone and start talking to people, because those fine motor skills were gone. All you're focused on is the trauma, and you don't want to be killed. Your body is going into self-preservation mode. So yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Excellent, excellent. Monique, what did you notice?
Well, I have some questions for Alex. So you mean you wouldn't want to get on to the phone and tell your, parent, or because I would.
Not immediately, no, because you're in shock, because these are your friends, or in that case, we had some cousins that were with them too, and they were more concerned about what was going on at the time and them not being shot. Now, sure, maybe a few minutes after that, sure, you get on the phone and say, "Oh my God, this is what happened," but immediately, no, not usually.
And then with regards to the water bottle that you were talking about, Dr. Fetzer,
Yeah.
well, what if the person was thinking more like long term and they wanted to get something into their mouth, like, liquid? I'm just, putting that out there. They don't want to leave everything behind. I know that it sounds a little bit maybe far-fetched, but it's possible.
Monique, if that was a real dead body lying there, they weren't worried about their water bottle. They're worried about their safety and getting the hell out of there. It's just ridiculous. And then the other girl on her phone, and you got the kid pulling his butts. I mean, it's really,
I
oh,
think that sometimes people are ridiculous, especially if they're kids. And let me tell you one other thing. When the Colorado incident happened, uh, I substitute taught in a library the very next day, and there was an announcement that came on about the what had happened. And what do you know? There was a group at a table of teens, and they started laughing. So sometimes people
well,
do
why
strange things.
they were laughing out of anxiety, or why were they laughing?
I'm I'm presuming that was it. I don't know. I mean, I went over to their table and I remember saying something like it was not funny. And then they straightened up, but I couldn't believe it.
Was this after Monique? Was this after Columbine, Colorado?
Yes, it was the day after, and I happened to be hired in the library the next day, and I was scared. And then the announcement came on, and this group starts laughing.
But
Well,
were you in Colorado or were you in
Oh, no, no,
California?
no, no, this was New Jersey.
Yeah, especially teenage boys can be stupid.
There were
Uh,
girls.
oh, there were girls. Well, girls too, but
I think
yeah,
it was
that's
mixed.
it's
Definitely
not
girls.
an untypical response, especially for teenagers. So
I look, I had looked at Columbine for a very long time, but I don't know, about 2 years ago, I took a look at the footage and it was so blatant. They dragged two mannequins out there on the front lawn at Columbine. I mean, it was another totally fake event, totally fake. Just like in Nice, they use the mannequins. They use the mannequins at Columbine. It's just embarrassingly bad. Anyone else have any comments or
Well, wait,
questions?
wait, Dr. Fetzer, before you go to the next person. I
Yeah.
still am having a very difficult time believing that these academic institutions are allowing this kind of behavior or drills or whatever the reason is to happen on their property. And then either no one knows or no one says anything. It makes me sick to like even
Yeah.
want to work in any of these institutions.
Remember, Monique, they got Sandy Hook, got Newtown, got 114 million bucks to do it. 114 million bucks. These are FEMA exercises, and they're getting big money for the community. And they're using it there. They may get additional grants to rebuild. This happened to Uvalde again. Remember, I mean, Victoria got 210 grand just to reprise her role as Eva Morales. After playing Victoria Soto, the teacher who heroically gave her life. She gave her life again for another 210 grand. I mean, we're talking about very base motives here, is what I'm
I
saying.
guess so. LAUSD got, I think it was $20 billion for
No,
doing what they did during the pandemic.
no, wait a minute. 20 billion? Who got 20
I
billion?
believe they got billion from the
Who,
government. Los
who,
Angeles Unified School District for doing all the things that they did to the students and to the faculty, the vaccine.
well,
20 billion.
Yeah, I agree, Jim. Our school district, because they were enforcing all the COVID restrictions and the face masking and everything, my son's school district got in excess of $200 million.
I'm
just
pretty
All these
sure it
school
was
districts
20.
did. They were all paid to enforce this
it
when they
is
didn't need to.
obscene.
Yeah.
It could have been 2, but I think it was 20. Either it was sickening. I
You're
think it
talking
was 20.
Yeah, I can't imagine it could have been 20, but I could imagine it. Maybe it was 2. That's
It was the
fast.
it's the second largest, you know. How much
But
did your sons get, Alex, you say?
is
I
is
think
New York?
it was about $200 million.
And where was that? What, like a town or?
Yeah, it was in a suburb of Indianapolis,
So a small
township near.
town. God.
What's that?
A small town, in other words.
Well,
Yeah.
no, I mean Indianapolis is a pretty good sized city, but just like I'm sure Los Angeles too, we're divided into districts, and our districts are divided within the township. And then you have Indianapolis public schools. But yeah, my son's school was a township school in Indianapolis.
Yeah,
Anyone
well,
else? Anyone else
but
with a comment?
LAUSD has like 1,000 schools, so yeah, sorry, but too
All right,
much.
that's all right. No problem. And then you had Kelsey, friend who was being interviewed, and there's David Hogg, of course. And she was asked about it. And she said it was like a movie. It looked so real, but it felt so fake. Isn't that wonderful? She got it exactly right. It looked so real, but it felt so fake.
And
So I
he
got,
got to go to Harvard. Yay!
then of course I got a whole book about it that Amazon also banned. And I put that wonderful training dummy with no arm and no heads right on the back cover. Orlando. An obvious case of how it's done. Dr. Ewan discovered the permit for the club had expired 3 years earlier. It was repainted from white to black because it was closed. It had a legal occupancy of 150, but over 300 were supposed to have been there the night of the event. And yet you'll see there weren't any cars parked anywhere. Crisis actors in Orlando, no billing for medical services. Here it is. It's still white. This is before it was closed, but it had very limited parking. I think there were 11 parking spaces. There were exits all over the place. The Pulse Club had 8 exits, and yet there's supposed to have been 50 dead, 50 injured from one shooter that they couldn't make their escape. That's what we were told at the time. They have this video footage, and you notice that different parts of it are time stamps and parts of it are not time stamped. But notice especially if you had 300 crammed in to this space, this main dance floor, which actually had the legal occupancy 150, they're going to be crammed in like sardines. Well, look at the footage. You'll see there's all kinds of open area. They aren't crammed like sardines at all. So this is supposed to be authentic footage of what happened at the Pulse nightclub in Orlando. See, notice there. Look how much space there is. It's just showing outside parking. There really wasn't much going on at all. And indeed, I think they combined these from different occasions because remember, the club actually was closed. It was actually closed. This is supposed to be the gunman walking around. But where are all the bodies? Where are all the people? This is the law enforcement coming in to save the day, right? Well, look, that's supposed to be actual firing taking place there. I just saw the flashes. Then they had a lot of crisis actors carrying dummies. Here, this is supposed to be taking somebody who was wounded. There's a Dunkin' Donuts, but they're taking him toward the Pulse Club, not away from the Pulse Club. Here you can see down here below how it's been painted black. I mean, this is just on the level of farce. And in fact, they took this guy down the sidewalk. Then when they thought they were out of camera range, they set him down and he sort of shook himself off. I mean, it was all ridiculous. So I got a book on that one too, from Orlando to Dallas and beyond. Yes, Alex, you've actually published on this. Tell us about Orlando.
Oh, geez, where do we begin? Um, the
Some
and
of these are
I
just
forgot.
so amateurish. They're so amateurish you can't believe, but the media plays them up, treats them as real, and the world swoons.
Yeah, this was. It may have been one of the. When was this? 2015,
Sounds right.
Orlando. This may have been one of the first ones where you have people supposedly, and I forget the man's name, who was supposedly shot like 7 times in the back, and he has absolutely no scars. I mean, he's even so stupid as like to lift up his shirt in interviews and show where
Yeah,
he'd been shot. And there's like, and why the interviewer didn't say, yeah, that's nice, but where are your scars from being shot 7 times with
right.
an AR-15? If it was shot 7 times with an AR-15,
How can you even be alive?
he'd be,
Yeah,
he'd be dead.
so
Yeah.
much nonsense. Others, anyone else want to say, offer an opinion? Monique, you want to get in on this one?
Uh, no, I don't. I just remember everything happening and how people were really upset in the gay community. Um, I mean,
Then we
what
had,
did it have to do with the gay community? Can
well,
you tell me?
it was a gay nightclub.
Right, but was there any sort of rationale on why they did a gay nightclub as opposed to a regular nightclub?
Oh, sure, it was supposed to be an anti-gay event. I mean, I think that was the whole idea. I think the whole idea was supposed to be this was, somebody who didn't like gays.
And
Yeah.
at the time, I'm trying to remember, like what was going on where that would have been something that people would have rallied
In terms
around.
of contemporary politics. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Alex, go ahead.
Well, you also remember, around that time that, gay marriage was passed, and so there was a big back during that time period. The whole gay agenda was really starting to be pushed really big, and my articles that I wrote for that focused on the musical aspect of it. Um, you had Melissa Etheridge and Christina Aguilera, and there was they were two gay musicians, but Melissa Etheridge, she put out a song about the Pulse nightclub with lyrics that were, I mean, very specific only to this event. And she put out music on it in a song in within 3 days or 4 days. So she said that she was inspired. So, a friend of hers called and said, this just happened at Pulse nightclub. So she said she just happened to be on break she was on a big tour, and she just happened to be on break during these particular days. Um, so she picked up her guitar and she wrote the song. And then within 3 days of that, or 4 days, um, she was able to write the song, hire the musicians, get it recorded, get it mixed, get it mastered, get it put on iTunes. And the same thing with Christina Aguilera. Within 4 days, she did the same thing, and she also put out an elaborate music video to it. Um, and they were all like tailor made for this event. And so if you read my articles, I go through and discuss
Yeah, it was
how.
preposterous that they didn't have foreknowledge. They were told exactly what would go down and how to play it, and they produced these songs that became immensely popular and made them big bucks, and practically overnight.
And then you had, the members of Broadway all got together and
Oh yeah,
just within a few days and recorded "What We Need Now Is Love" by Burt Bacharach.
yeah.
And these were not B and C list Broadway. I mean, these were A-list actors. Um, Even Rosie O'Donnell was there. I can't remember off the top of my Sarah Jessica Parker and her husband. I can't remember his name, Ferris Bueller. Um, but to think that all these people, I mean, these people would have had obligations that they would have had to meet. Um, and for them to drop everything and just within a few days. So they
Hey,
had to hire the musicians, they had to arrange it, they had to get everybody in the studio, record it, mix it, edit it, put it out. And yeah, it's just
everyone had it on their calendar like 6 months in advance to make it
You're
all happen.
you're smiling, Dr. Fetzer, but I find that this is disgusting to me.
Oh, of course it's disgusting. I'm smiling because it's so obvious and it's so absurd and it's so gross and offensive,
These
Monique.
people get big bucks, they get the
Yeah,
fame. I
by
I I mean, I just can't
by
stand
scamming
it.
by scamming the public.
well, this is part of the music industry too. If you've read now I forget his name. I keep drawing a blank. I'm getting old. The guy who put out the books on how evil the music industry is, and this is just part of it. You make those big bucks, and you have to do certain favors for the industry and for the people in charge. If you want to continue to be successful, do this. So yeah.
Matthew Broderick is his name, and I saw him on Broadway.
Who?
Matthew Broderick.
Okay, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
You want
Okay, well, these
you want
people have
Can I
totally
add a
gone
small
down.
comment, Dr. Fetzer?
please do, Ben.
It's really interesting, the coalescence of politics and all these false flag events and everything coming together. We had an event down here in Atlanta at a gay nightclub also. That Atlanta was famous for the Olympic Park bomber, of course. So that created a lot of stir back in '96. but Atlanta is known to be a gay mecca in the Southeast. And you have Elton John has a home in Atlanta and things like that. So there's a strong musical connection that has been drawn into Atlanta, even though it has actually been taken over by hip hop. The gay music scene in Atlanta is very, very powerful, as evidenced by a group that you may or may not have heard of called the Indigo Girls. Well, they were gay going all the way back to Emory University. But the other you had other people that are well-known gays within the music industry, like, for example, George Michael in his infamous scenes at the L.A. washrooms, and you had Clay Aiken that came out on whatever that show was. He was originally, I think, from North Carolina, and you had that Canadian woman that was very well loved within the gay community. So this is something that it is really out there if one looks, and I would think that our friend from Los Angeles would have a better pulse on what's going on with that. But I just wanted to add some 2 cents worth into that domain from there. And I appreciate your time.
Oh, I'm always glad for your comments, which are just spot on, Ben. I'm really glad. Monique, do you want to say anything in addition?
There's a lot of gay people out here. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I mean, I actually created a song called She Wants No Boyfriend, Just a Wife back in 1999, but I didn't put it out because I was getting questions like if I was gay, and I didn't want to go there. But anyway, I did that before Katy Perry ever did, and there wasn't anything dirty about it. It was a little sultry comedy, social, political, and I won some awards off of it once I did take it out again, once I felt safe. But with regards to the pushing of the LGBTQ IAP plus, um, I, yeah, there's a few mixed feelings that I have. Like for instance, the asexual, that is something that has been pushed down. There are people that don't feel any like inclination to do that act. And then there's like a portion of them that are anti-sexual or I mean a lot of them are pro, but there's also negative as well. So I appreciate that aspect coming out in the whole string of letters. Also the I because there are people that are born with both parts, but pushing the way they pushed over the pandemic, that I am not for. And in addition, the Screen Actors Guild, I'd have to say around the time of 2016 or whatnot, push, 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 push. And we could see the movies and the ones that win the awards a lot of times. It has a queer subject, and I don't like it. It turns me completely off, to be frank with you. Back when I did that song, I felt bad for people. You know, people wanted to commit suicide, they wanted to die by suicide if they were gay because a lot of them were rejected. A lot of them were bullied and hit and whatnot. And I don't agree with that at all. I don't think anybody here does. But then it crossed a line where then it all, now it's like popular. And if you don't go with that agenda, then you're thought of being as a bigot, and I don't agree with that at all. So I believe that the community has been given a lot of money, and so they do, I guess, what their bidders are telling them to do. But I knew a lot of gay people because I was in the radio. That was in New Jersey. I was on dance music radio. Mostly the gay guys would like it. But there was a certain turning point, and now, okay, if you're gay, I'm not going to say anything, but I don't I don't appreciate how this the politics pushed it, particularly the trans, and I'm wrapping this up here, but that harms people's bodies. And you could say, oh, well, you need to match your gender, what you feel like you are. I get that. But it's been very dangerous because we're not now talking about a personality, a job. We're talking about changing the biology of the person and not just one part of them. I thought it was bad enough when people were getting, you know, boot chest jobs, top jobs, right? But at least you're, not having to take this medication to continue to make your biology something that it's not. And so we just went out of control. And President Trump actually put something out now, regardless of, whatever his past sins, if he did, if he didn't, he's now putting out, and I agree with this, trans abortions and euthanasia. He's stating that they're crimes of humanity. I can't disagree with him.
Well, this is excellent discussion. Let's continue. Another book banned. Charlottesville was very blatant. You had 2 cars, 2 drivers, 2 takes, totally fake. Both Dodge Challengers, one with a black stripe, one without. 2 drivers, one age 20, schizophrenic who was fingered for it, put on trial, but the actual driver was 32, a military veteran. 2 takes, actually even 3. One with 1 car, no vans, another with 1 car, 2 vans, another with a black Toyota pickup truck at the side, and stuntmen flying through the air. The gal who did this used her cat image. But look at the difference in the cars. There you got the racing stripe. There you have no racing stripe. Here you have the difference in the driver. This is the guy who was the actual driver. Now, who does he look like? This guy, the 20-year-old schizophrenic put on trial, or this guy, the 32-year-old who is in a reserve unit in Ohio? Obviously, he was the driver. In fact, when he backed up from hitting the vans, he drove so well, he befit a NASCAR driver. He was so good. Here's one of the collisions. Drove into the back of the 2 vans. You notice there are no drivers in the vans. They were sitting there at the intersection for 5 minutes before the car crashed into them. And this is sometimes thought to have been Heather Heyer, who was claimed to have died that day, but actually did not. She died the following day. So here you got the 2 vans. Here you got one, there's no vans, no nothing. So that's 2 different takes right there. But then get this. You got 3rd take. Because there you got the Toyota pickup truck and you got the stuntmen flying through the air. This was really bad. Meanwhile, there were state troopers who allegedly died in a helicopter crash. Well, guess what? We got footage of the guys walking away from the crash. They weren't dead at all. They were alive and well. You can see them in their uniforms here. But these are the same two guys walking away very much alive and well. Here again. There they are. I think we even got some reporting here.
I'm just going to do a quick video here because I've been looking into this whole false flag Charlottesville, Virginia thing with the car ramming into the people at the Antifa rally. Now they're blaming it on white nationalists. See, they're trying to cause the divide now because their Russia and Korea narratives aren't working. But yet, here's the weird thing. And they reported that Lieutenant Jay Cullen, and this trooper pilot, Burke Bates, were killed in that helicopter crash. Okay? There it is right there on Twitter. Here it is in the Times. Okay? They were killed. But who are these two people in the picture? Why are they wearing flight suits, and why does this guy have a helmet? Who are they? These guys, I mean, they don't look like them. There is a resemblance, though. Both bald, one maybe chubbier than the other one. Here's a video from AP. There they are again. Kind of have a somewhat resemblance to these guys. This one kind of looks like this one being this one like the chubbier one, but not exactly. Remember, this is a psyop. Okay, no one was... I don't think anybody was killed, personally. So who are these guys? Are these the pilots? Are they actors?
Alex, you want to comment on this? I mean, I think these are exactly the guys that are supposed to be dead. I mean, it's just pretty damn ridiculous. Go ahead, your thoughts.
Yeah, they could very well be. You know, when they show stock pictures, so usually most police departments, they will take two pictures of you. They'll take a picture of you as a civilian, and then they'll take a picture of you in your police uniform. The reason they take a picture of you as a civilian is in case you're caught in a crime and they don't want to associate you so much as being an officer. They just show you as the civilian. If you do something that is of praise, then of course they show you. But also, we don't know how old these photographs were. I retired in 2022, and my last police photo in uniform was taken probably around 2011. So obviously I changed from 2011 to 2022. You know, I still had brownish hair. When I retired, I had gray hair. So we don't know when those troopers' photographs were actually taken in correlation to when the crash actually occurred. So, but yeah, I'm of the high probability that those were the two and they did survive. So
Yeah.
that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, my opinion as well. Monique, did you want to add?
No, that's okay. Thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone else? Well,
Now, Professor, could I add a couple points?
Go right ahead. Go right ahead.
Thank you. Do you remember the left was all up in a tizzy in regards to the woman, her name was Heather Heyer,
Right.
who claimed to have a heart attack as a result of the car driven supposedly by James Fields.
Yes.
And could we consider her to be a crisis actor that may have played her part very well by actually dying? And the second point I wanted to make is that can we actually? You were talking about the bald guys, and I always think back to the incursion on the Capitol, and one of the guys that was one of the bad actors was a guy by the name of Ray Epps.
Yeah.
So when anyone talks about bald men and the same type, I start to think that Ray Epps may have been in more than one situations.
Highly probable, highly probable. And it turns out the mother of Heather, I think the slide's in here. The mother of Heather Heyer, Susan Bro, turns out to be the same woman who played the mother of Victoria Soto and Sandy Hook, Donna Soto. Same woman, same crisis actor. It's insulting, Ben, how they do this, but they do it. It's like having Victoria reprise her role at Uvalde for an extra 210 grand. Give us a break. Well, here it is.
Well,
Here it is.
I think a lot of these situations could be looked at deeper if all we had there were records of their personal bank transactions and see if they were similarly rewarded for their crisis acting. But that's in a perfect world, Dr. Fetzer.
Yeah. Well, look here. We got the mother of alleged victim Heather Heyer, top left. Have we not seen this woman before? Compare with the Sandy Hook mother below. Let the two images overlap. Change in transparency, a perfect match. So it seems that Susan Bro, the mother of Heather Heyer, and Donna Soto, one and the same crisis actor. They're that brazen about it. And she's part of the Sandy Hook families that are making the big bucks off of the ongoing fraud, where they're still raking in $1 million a month from gullible Americans who are played for suckers and saps. And of course, I got a book on this too, which Amazon has also banned. Then we got 9/11 anomalies. Well, we've been there. The impossible approach, absence of airplane debris. Jamie McIntyre reporting no plane had hit it. This is different than the part 1 and part 2 I had you watch. This was an earlier version that had a different mix. I figure good enough for us just to review some of how these events take place. No pile of debris from a 100-ton aluminum airliner, no bodies, no seats, no luggage, no wings, no tail. Where'd the plane go? Again, you ask. We know those lime green civilian. Look at the Pentagon. It's just absolutely astonishing. No aircraft debris whatsoever. Meanwhile, what do we have here? Oh, yeah.
How much of the plane actually impacted the building?
You know, it might have appeared that way, but from my close-up inspection, there's no evidence of a plane having crashed anywhere near the Pentagon. The only site is the actual site of the building that's crashed in, and as I said, the only pieces left that you can see are small enough that you could pick up in your hand. There are no large tail sections, wing sections, a fuselage, nothing like that anywhere around, which would indicate that the entire plane crashed into the side of the Pentagon and then caused the side to collapse. Now, even though if you look at the pictures of the Pentagon, you see that the floors have all collapsed, that didn't happen immediately. It wasn't until almost about 45 minutes later that the structure was weakened enough that all of the floors collapsed.
He is totally accurate. Totally accurate. And he basically got fired for that. Then we know the approach hitting the alleged stationary lampposts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've gone over it. America nuked on 9/11. This one Amazon has not banned. Meanwhile, got more Parkland anomalies. The injured students with AR-15 wounds that healed miraculously rapidly. They used fake bullets called simunition that it's made out of laundry detergent and beeswax. It stings like a bee, but it doesn't puncture the skin. Here we got that student. It was like a movie set. It looked so real, but it felt so fake. Well, here we got this doctor, Nietzsche Prokow, who's obviously a crisis actor doctor, said the wounds on Maddie Wilford's chest and abdomen had already healed. These are supposed to be AR-15 wounds in her chest and her stomach. Young people have a tendency to heal very fast, he said. This is so ridiculous. A bullet wound on her upper arm, which had injured two tendons, would take more time. She's very, very lucky, he said. We're talking about large caliber bullets penetrating through the chest and abdomen. Those are serious injuries. But they're not large caliber. This is a .223. It's just slightly larger than a .22. It's small caliber, but it is high velocity. He said he believed Miss Wilford would be physically ready to return to school next week and would probably make a full recovery, no doubt, because her wounds are fake. I'm so grateful to be here, Ms. Wilford said. It would be possible without those officers at first responding and these amazing doctors, and especially all the love that everyone has sent. You know how love helps to heal an AR-15 wound. Here's the actual weapon that would be devastating. If one's hit with an AR-15, you're lucky if you survive. Here's another. This is Fuentes, Samantha Fuentes. Amazingly, she was released from the hospital walking and being interviewed by a reporter after only 1 week. And her 2 legs now require only Band-Aids for the AR-15 wounds. And she apparently had to wait 30 minutes in her classroom before SWAT officers arrived. Lucky she didn't bleed out and die. It's all over the news with her statement regarding Trump's phone call. Trump called her. Just Google her name. Samantha Fuentes. Yeah, she healed so rapidly her AR-15 wounds only require Band-Aids. The New York Times even talked about how an AR wound would shatter your leg. It's not going to be concealed by a Band-Aid. Oh, yeah, and I love this. Here we have a student come out and said she was in Holocaust class when the shooting occurred. Give me a break. Oh, this is just awful beyond words. Here's about the simunition I was talking about. And here we have an officer according to the official timeline, this is for Nicholas Cruz, 2 minutes and 33 seconds after he was dropped off by an Uber, Cruz began shooting, seen by teacher Stacy Lipple as dressed in full metal garb, helmet, face mask, bulletproof armor. So we're to believe in the space of 2 minutes and 33 seconds, Nicholas Cruz managed to walk from the curb where the Uber driver dropped him off to the stairwell. That's a couple of 100 yards. Put on a full metal garb or helmet, face mask, bulletproof armor, and begin shooting. If you believe that, then I'll bet you also believe in the Easter Bunny. Oh, I think this is this lovely girl who was talking to him as they were walking off campus. Oh no, this is wonderful. This guy's a crisis actor. You're not going to believe how good this is.
Are you an elite? Are your staged attacks not going as planned? Are your globalist agendas failing because you're using subpar crisis actors? Well, then look no further. Hi, I'm Harrison Hanks, the ultimate crisis actor. Need a medical doctor? In 18 years as a medical examiner, I've never seen anything like it. Yeah.
Is this one over the top? Is this one different?
Yeah, it's over the top. 33 children died. Do you need a grieving husband? Did a right-winger set off a bomb? Right, yeah, we're just milling about over there. Had a massive explosion. And I'm your man. Tired of melodramatic acting?
There's light away from the darkness. I'm just trying to figure out if he's okay. I lost my 20-year-old, but I had 20 years with my son.
It's just tragedy, horror, and tragedy.
Or maybe you need me to tone down my good acting to match your sorry lot of wannabes. In that case, I can go from this. My name is Bobby Palmer. My family's one of the families that lost a child. To this. My name is Bobby Palmer. And my family's one of the families that lost a child. Going for the guns takes subtlety, like this. I don't know how many more need to die before the president does something. Not this.
And please, could we do something with the assault weapons?
And every one of those hands is a reason why those weapons should not be out in the general public.
Because in this kind of a situation, what has changed? Have we learned nothing?
Tired of green screen mishaps and disappearing noses? Me too.
You take it. Okay. Is there anything else you want to say?
I'm green screen ready, bonded, and insured. I can morph into 1,000 different faces. I offer reasonable rates, and I have no conscience. Just pick your card to play on the world stage.
From homeless to police officer, from doctor to witness, to your ACE card, the grieving father.
You can count on Harrison Hanks to push through your agenda. Regain their trust. Call Harrison Hanks for all your crisis needs. Thank you, and good luck.
Well, could you hear that? Okay, I could play it again at louder, but Harrison Hanks has just done a brilliant job with that. How do you like it, Alex?
You know, I never get tired of watching that because it's so the satire behind it, but yet the truthfulness of it. I mean, it's so spot on. Yeah, I love it.
It is. It's completely brilliant. Monique, have you seen that Harrison Hanks before?
I'm trying to remember if you shared that with me before. But here's a question for you. Are there other countries that are doing these beyond the United States that I should be aware of, that we should be aware of? Maybe Russia? I don't know.
No, not Russia, but Nick Kollerstrom, that book of the, what was it, False Flag Chronicles, he talks about 13 events in Europe and the UK, 13 events, false flags in Europe and the UK. France and UK, very big in these staged events. Yeah, Alex.
Yeah, another one, and you know, Jeremy might be familiar with this one, was the Manchester attack.
Oh yeah.
With Ariana Grande. That was total. If you look into that, it's another one that's just ridiculous. And I posted my article that I did on the Nice France attack in the chat if you want to read that. But yeah, these occur, especially obviously in the United States, but also in Europe. Norway, there was an attack in Norway. Germany, all these truck attacks in Germany that they seem to have on Christmas Eve, where a truck plows through.
Remember the Nice and the Parkland and a host of others. Jeremy, would you like to comment? You're muted. Jeremy, you're muted. Would you like
if only I could find the mute button.
Sure.
Yes, the Manchester attack's an interesting one because oh dear, I forget the name of the journalist who was he was accused in court of harassing the families of those who claim to be attacked.
Yeah.
And I forget what his name is. You've cited him once or twice because he's the one who talked about the 9/11 cloaking.
Wait, Nick Kollerstrom.
No, not Nick.
It's not PK, is it?
No. Oh dear. I knew this. That's why I couldn't get to the mute button. I was trying to find his name.
It wasn't Piers Morgan, was it?
No. He's not a journalist. He's not even he's not even human, is he? Dr. Fetzer, who was the fellow who did the modelling for the from the radar at 9/11 and determined that the planes were.
Sure.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Is he a Brit?
Yes, he is. Anyway, his name will come to us, but yes.
3D radar study. Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
It was he was hauled over the coals. Richard D. Hall.
That's it. Richard D. Hall. Yes, he was taken to I think it was the Old Bailey, and very publicly admonished. He's actually lost his home over that.
Oh my.
It's appalling, absolutely appalling.
Some of these are just ridiculous. The London Bridge attack and all that. Nick has gotten through a whole bunch of these, and
Yeah.
they're appalling
Yes.
bad and so obviously staged, which is why
Yeah.
if anyone actually calls it out and is getting any publicity, got to hit him with a hammer so that
Yeah.
no one else will follow his lead. And that's why they hit Alex so hard over Sandy Hook. But he played along with them, whereas I have not. It's the difference.
Indeed. Yes, there's an academic, Dr. David A. Hughes, who's written about Manchester bombing and Richard D. Hall's plight in that, and also there's another. I can't remember his name either. It's 3 o'clock in the morning here, by the way. That's why my brain doesn't work.
Yeah, you're doing it, Jeremy. I'm so glad. I wonder if I could have done something for Richard D. Hall when he was under fire there.
I think he received quite a lot of backing from people who know about these things, and who paid for his legal costs. He got a very good lawyer involved. The lawyer was actually confused by the whole thing. He said that the whole setup was very peculiar. But there we go.
He may not be used to false flags, and he may have been up against a rigged court. I mean,
Well, I think Richard D. Hall informed him of all of these aspects, and he was no slouch, that lawyer, I can tell you.
Good.
Yeah. Good question. I got another question for Jeremy, because it seems like in the U.S., we have these staged shootings, but it looks like in London and in the UK, you have these what looks to be false flags of knife attacks.
Yes, the most recent.
They've taken away the guns, Alex.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
exactly. The most recent one, Alex, was about a month ago on a train. Trains seem to be very popular at the moment for knife attacks, which
we have them here too.
Yes, I noted there's that Ukrainian lady who appears to have been killed on some American train. Was it a subway train?
Subway, yeah, that's very suspicious. Yes.
It was in Charlotte, North Carolina. The light rail in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yeah.
Yeah. That recent knife attack took place on the railway line that passes through my town, probably about 30 miles up the line.
Ben, did you want to add further thoughts?
Yes, sir. If I could, I appreciate that. I have a combined question for our excellent students in our class here, Monique and Jeremy. But before I get to that, I had a really quick question about Harrison Hanks.
Yeah.
Could we assume that he was related to Harrison Ford and to Tom Hanks?
No.
If they had a child, would their child be Harrison Hanks?
I think that was just the moniker he was using. It, he was using that as a sobriquet, as a nickname, as a play on two actors, two highly, top Hollywood actors, and he just combined the name for satire.
It makes the mind wander. But my question for Jeremy and Monique, in regards to the Screen Actors Guild out in California, is there a comparison Screen Actors Guild in Britain or the UK? And if so, could we perhaps figure out if some of these crisis actors were actually on a membership list with the Screen Actors Guild, maybe?
Oh,
that's my question.
Ben, I I don't really know much about acting, and it's quite possible that there must be some sort of union which they're forced to join. So my guess is that perhaps they're registered with the union, and I can't remember what
Man, most of these crisis actors aren't professional actors. That's rare. They're simply recruited and sign non-disclosure agreements, and they have auditions for roles and the like, which is what happened at Sandy Hook. But they're the actual, oddly enough, Gene Rosen, who we see parodied there, is a member of Screen Actors Guild. So are a lot of the others, including our sloppy sniper and his wife. Monique, would you like to add further thoughts? Yours.
There is one or more unions in the UK. I didn't know what it was called. I looked it up just now. A lot of times Screen Actors Guild does something called the Global Rule 1. And so if you're doing something over in a foreign country, it applies to that. I was just going to say something, having a senior moment too with the union. Oh boy.
Well, I was just curious if there was maybe a public list that might be available, that we might be able to do cross-checking to see if Heather Heyer was actually a member of the Screen Actors Guild.
I could look. We could look.
It's just an idea of going down that rabbit trail
I know what I
with
was
no
going to say.
guarantee of success.
I know what I was going to say. The one of the people who was playing Biden, who showed up in the archives, what do you call that? The web archive that they're trying to do away with, that the FBI is subpoenaing. I actually went to a live event and asked the agent of one of the alleged actors playing Biden if this was true. Do you remember that, Dr. Fetzer? You were on the phone when I was asking.
Go ahead.
Do you remember? I called you up and I went to a live event. This was like last May or so. So the mayor of Santa Monica, California, he owns a boutique talent agency. And maybe some of you saw, like in publications like I think it was the Vigilant Fox, there was an actor who was being outed for playing Biden. Now I'm going to have to look up his name. But this agent had him, this actor, in the agent.
At the White House. You mean actually playing Biden at the White House?
Well, yes, but for certain, his name is listed during the inauguration as being Biden for 11 hours. And there was a woman, I don't know who she is, but she's an actor too. She was playing Jill. And this is in the Internet Archives. I will call that up and I will show you. Now it's not on the actor's regular IMDb website, Internet Movie Database. That's what that stands for. It's not appearing on his current. However, it is in this archive. And someone that I know said, oh, well, that could have been made up. Anybody could have put a credit or whatnot. Possibly. But I find it highly unlikely.
Yeah.
And I went there and he didn't know what I was talking about. But his female partner did know what I was talking about.
Love it.
She said that the actor said, oh, people are saying I'm playing Biden and what am I going to do? And she said, just ignore it. And she said, well, I guess that wasn't good advice because more people are talking about it. I mean, she seemed to be sincere, but how could I know after we're going through all this? I mean, what would it behoove her to tell me the truth? So this is what happened. I know you don't remember, Dr. Fetzer, but you were on the phone when I asked that question. But later on, when
Yeah,
we walked out, I was talking to them more personally.
I vaguely remember. Did you record it?
I didn't record it, but we also told Dr. Francis Boyle that I was going to go down there and ask. And you were trying to say, like, didn't he put something out about Biden and we were concerned that it might not be Biden? You emailed him. I was on the CC before he passed away.
Oh, they're in the records somewhere, Monique. I love it all. Love it all.
Well, I will find the I will find the Internet Archive thing, and I can't remember his name now, but he doesn't really look like Biden, but he could play Biden. You know, the high forehead, the around the same height, the lanky.
Mask on him, Monique. If they put a latex mask on him.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Alex,
one other thing I wanted to say with regards to the whole Michelle Obama,
Sure.
Michael, I didn't realize how tall she was. And someone's like, "Oh, that's a giveaway." She's 5'11". That's what it says online.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just
And she's
putting
like,
that out there. I still can't believe though it's not mainstream news. I thought it was going to be that by now, but it's not.
look at it this way. The liberal press was so uniform for 4 years. Melania didn't appear on the cover of any women's magazine for 4 effing years when she was doing a wonderful job as first lady. The suppression, the control of the press is phenomenal, phenomenal, and disgusting. Alex, you want to add?
Yeah, I was just going to say there's a lot of these crisis actors that you go in and they actually, and I don't know if they're part of the Screen Actors Guild, but they have an IMDb page, an Internet Movie Database page, like the guy that played the sloppy sniper in David, what was his name? He was in a like a low budget B movie.
Right.
And I think it was actually called The Gun, if memory serves, but he has an IMDb page.
David Wheeler.
David Wheeler. There was another girl, I think she was either in Uvalde or one of those school shootings, and she has an IMDb page, and she's been in a couple of movies.
Love it.
So yeah, that's the first thing I do. Or one of the first things I do when I hear one of these. I was like, oh, I wonder if they have an IMDb page. So
terrific.
It was 2024, Dr. Fetzer, and his name is Arthur Roberts, the actor.
Yeah, I recall. Yeah, now. Yeah, Arthur Roberts, yeah.
Now, you know, at that inauguration.
I got his picture on one of my blogs about Biden fakery. Yeah.
The inauguration, you probably know this more than me. Wasn't the cannon blown off like a different amount of time or something like that? That people say that it was really his funeral and
yeah, there were lots of oddities, the whole damn thing, the fakery, it's unbelievable, disgusting. Anyone else want to speak up at this point? Let's see what else we got here. Okay. Here's one, New Zealand. The Christchurch shooting. Even more amateurish than a Boston bombing. Footage shows shell casing disappearing in midair. Crystal clear plates of staging an attack and grabbing guns. This is Robert David Steele and I did a fair amount of this. Breaking: James Fetzer, New England, false flag, no one died. Muslim director, crisis actor, disappearing bullet casing from special effects. Call for international Muslim investigation with full access to prisoner and all victim families. He was really good. It was a huge loss. Here's his bottom line. Assailant taped self-driving to mosque. Nazi era music playing from the start. Feel of a video game or home movie. 3 fake weapons on the floor of the car. Turns in after passing 3 red cars. An officer is there directing him to turn. Opens trunk to see plastic fake guns. Walks up to mosque and fires blasts. No blood, no scream, no bullet. Piles of bodies before entering room. There are exits, but no one tries to escape. Close-up shots, no entry wounds. Fires down alley, but no one's there. Even photo of director with a crew. The New Zealand government should fall over this. A formal post being created by Dr. James Fetzer, one of America's foremost scholar investigators with respect to false flag operations. We'll update this post once he has done that. Preliminary findings are illustrated by the film clip of disappearing bullet casings from special effects discussed in the below audio. This appears to be a totally manufactured event. The censorship is part of a panic realization the world is going to pick this thing apart in a heartbeat. Well, maybe, but it didn't happen. We do have the video now. If you have this video in New Zealand, you can be fined 10 grand, 10 grand for just having the video because it's so fake. What are they trying to hide? And of all the violent videos on the net, possessing the New Zealand mosque shooting video can get you 10 years in prison. Totally fake. Here, I suspect, is the ejection of the cartridges. The shooter empties his third mag. The ejected brass disappears in midair, never hits the ground. I really miss that guy. Here we had from the other mosque, I mean, it was just very sloppy how it was done. But what did they do? They took away all the guns in New Zealand. Here's Robert David Steele writing about it. New Zealand false flag to disarm America or even start World War III. After multiple reports about New Zealanders turning in guns, guess how many actually did it? Out of an estimated 1.2 million registered guns, New Zealand police report as of Tuesday night, 37 firearms have been surrendered nationwide. No accounting was provided of how many people own those guns, types of firearms, where they were surrendered. The reported citizen disarming themselves came after a Monday announcement by Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern that several in-principle decisions on gun control have been made by cabinet ministers, while praising residents who have surrendered their guns to police, a max of 37. Meanwhile, 9/11, South Tower, we know, we've been there, done that, love it, love it. That book has not been banned either. Here's JFK anomalies. Witnesses discounted by the x-rays who reported the blowout to the back of the head, discounted on the ground that cranial x-ray didn't show it, but they were patched. They could see the blowout. We know it. Been there. Done that. Yes, yes. Great stuff. Love it. Another book hasn't been banned. More anomalies. What we're told versus how it was done. Officially, 3 shots scoring 2 hits, back of the neck, back of the head. Actually, there were at least 4 hits. That's just a jack. That's ignoring Conley. There were 6 or more shooters who fired 8 to 10 shots minimum. Actually, it turned out to have been 8 shooters and fired 10 to 12. We know there. We've been there. We've been there. Done it. Done it. Zapruder. This is Larry Rivera. His book, JFK Horseman on the Limo Stop. Brilliant stuff. Sandy Hook. We're getting into very, very familiar territory. Who can resist Noah Posner turning into Michael Wagner? Oh my goodness. Now this turns out to be a fake. This is fake. This was intended to mislead researchers. Boston bombing, how the patsies were framed. Kraft International personnel were on the scene, planted them. The Serenot brothers were photoshopped into the video footage, but the backpacks don't match. I was participant in an amicus brief to save the day for Zoker on the left. Here you have Tamerlan with his cat. See, his aunt reached out to me and told me she knew these photographs had been inserted because he had a beard. And I said, well, can you prove it? She started sending me photographs. Here he was in bed with his cat. He had a beard. Here are those who actually did it. These were they had the backpacks on the back. Yeah, what was the name of this outfit? Kraft International. Yeah, Kraft International. They did it. Here you got the guy with a backpack. They were these compact nylon with a white top. They packed them, then they ran away. Bad, bad. But you see, here's the Serenot brothers. They don't have the right backpacks. And if the backpacks don't match, you must quit. This is a real case, unlike the phony OJ case. So notice, there's no similarity. This is only open with the stuffing because it's blown up. Boston bombing players who knew they were being framed. Police on bullhorns were calling out, this is a drill, this is a drill. The Boston Globe was tweeting a demonstration bomb would be set off. During the marathon, for the benefit of bomb squad activity, Judy Clark, Zoker defense attorney, declared they did it when they did not. Here we have, you can even hear him in the background calling out on the bullhorns, this is a drill, this is a drill. Here are the tweets that are so damning. So the Boston Globe knew the whole thing was fraudulent, but they didn't expose it. Just disgusting. You have Zoker. This is from a confession he's supposed to have written on the inside of a fiberglass boat. Now, it turns out to write on a fiberglass, you have to have a special implement. And the text here was all perfectly parallel inside the curved surface of the boat. You think he just happened to have the special kind of writing implement you need to write on the curved surface of a fiberglass boat when he was seeking to escape the police who were out to kill him? Meanwhile, Judy Clark, violating all the principles of trial conduct. I submitted a formal complaint about Judy Clark for betrayal, her violations of the responsibilities of a defense attorney to the California bar, and they dismissed it. They ignored it. They could care less. Nobody died in Boston either. Also banned. Also banned. Any question about any of the above? Any of the above? Alex, your comments.
Well, the Boston bombing, and as you and I pointed out before, especially you pointed out several times, after the explosion, there's a picture where there's supposed to be victims with absolutely no blood around them. And then suddenly there's photos and there's the blood. So, as we've commented before, I'm sure the doc can attest to this, is, you can't get shot and blown apart like that without there being an immediate presence of blood, So that's another thing. And then you had, what's his name that supposedly had his legs blown off, and
Yeah.
they put him in a wheelchair, and and you look at the tourniquet they put on, and it's just, it's not even it's just a makeshift tourniquet. It's like somebody took a handkerchief and just tied it onto his leg. If he would have lost both legs like that, I'm sure he would have bled out pretty quickly. You don't put him in a wheelchair.
He was a former Army officer, lost his legs in Afghanistan, was there as an amputee crisis actor. I may even have that. There may be another segment about the Boston bombing there. Ben, would you like to add some thoughts?
Well, it's, you're absolutely right. With that type of trauma, you'd be losing, especially if the major arteries are implicated. But you also have to remember that it's not just blood. With that type of traumatic shock, you're also probably experiencing a loss of fecal content and every other fluid out of every orifice if you're being hit with that type of trauma. So people focus on the blood, but there's the smelly part that also people just need to remember.
Excellent. Monique.
I was just thinking about the officer that I told you I spoke to.
Yeah.
In Quincy, Massachusetts, who said that one of his colleagues passed away in that. I would love for you to talk to him. I told him about you a couple times. I had to call there for something. So
Lost a colleague
into it.
He lost a colleague at the Boston bombing, or which?
He said that his colleague passed away in the Boston bombing. Because he started talking about how the film about the Boston bombing, some of it was filmed in Quincy, Massachusetts.
Yeah. Patriot Day, starring Kevin Bacon.
And I hesitated to tell him because it was another topic that I was calling down there for. Something with Screen Actors Guild, interestingly enough. And then when he said that, I'm like, I gotta tell him. And so I told him about you and the book. And that's when he said that he had lost a colleague. I had to call there again. And I said, yeah, I told Dr. Fetzer about, your colleague. And he said he'd still look into it. So that's it. If you ever want to call him, his name is Donovan.
He said he'd look into it. In other words, he was open-minded to the possibility it might have been staged.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I just found him right now. Looks like his first name is Christian.
Okay.
You should contact him.
Okay.
Las
Vegas Anomalies. No one was shot. It was a movie. They used a pre-recorded soundtrack of a machine gun firing. They added coordinated special visual effects of lights flashing. The concert was seated with as many as 500 crisis actors. Here you can see now. Remember, the claim is shots were only fired from the 32nd floor of the wing. We're looking here at the center part of the Mandalay, the 4th floor.
Right there, baby. That's the
Fourth floor,
gunfire.
not the 32nd.
Light flashing. And yet the sheriff said there was no evidence of any shots being fired from anywhere but the 32nd floor. Well, what's that? What's that?
And notice the sound is off with the light because he's filming from a throw distance.
Question.
Yeah, go ahead.
The guy that was filming that, I mean, he's pretty brave. The guy's firing kind of at random from that. He's pretty close. He could have been shot. I mean, who was
I think
filming
he may
that?
have realized it was just a light flashing, and it was, yeah.
Yeah, who was filming that? That's.
Here's another about the sheriff saying there was no sign of anyone else. There's actually a guy in the crowd that comes out and starts firing into the crowd. Of course, he's firing blanks, but we got him on video. Just embarrassing. Here's a good one. I contacted the 3 hospitals, all which are the closest from the alleged shooting: Spring Valley, AMG Specialty, and North Vista. I asked if they could check the registry for a gunshot victim taken there from the mass shooting at the Mandalay Bay. I received the same reply from each facility. There were no gunshot victims admitted to this facility. You may want to check with local police. One woman said, if you're referring to the crisis drill that everyone keeps calling about, then I'm sorry, there were no real gunshot victims. It was just a drill. If you don't believe me, call him yourself. I did. I called him, got the same answer. Except the third, the woman who was being so informative about the Crisisville had been silenced and said she couldn't comment. Here they were transporting bodies from a morgue into an ambulance to claim they were victims in Las Vegas. Here, oh, I love this. Intel Hub thought they had found a mini massacre at the Hooters in Las Vegas. So there were 17 ambulances outside the Hooters in Las Vegas. We just happened to have video from inside. There were all these crisis actors, each with their own sheet, waiting to be taken out as another victim of the Las Vegas massacre. Here's another. In this video clip, you get a director who's out telling the couple they got to do it again. They didn't have it right. And she's caught right on the video. Just unreal. Meanwhile, there were no actual deaths. So, of course, they had to fake them. And here I was hoping Mona would be here because she did this research. It was so brilliant. She found the Las Vegas crime map, which shows no shooting incidents. The judge ordered the coroner to produce 58 autopsy reports, so he released 58 fake and incomplete reports from 6 different coroners. Here's the crime report. This is for 24 hours. I think it's like 8 p.m. the day before and 8 p.m. after. And what do you get? Robbery. Recovered motor vehicle. Malicious destruction, burglary, stolen motor, burglary, assault and battery, other disturbance. No gunshot victims at all. This is Mona Alexis Presley. Then she did research on all the victims. They had their photographs, right? And it turns out when they weren't merely Photoshop variations of themselves. In other words, some victims are here more than once. They're based on persons who died in different states or on different dates or from different causes of death. It was all fabricated. Then you had the Clark County coroner releasing 58 autopsy reports, all names redacted, no ballistics. Stephen Paddock, the alleged shooter, kept secret. Appears that a further cover-up is underway in regard to the 1 October massacre, in which 58 people were allegedly killed. All terrible. And then here he is trying to justify himself. It's just insulting beyond belief. And here, the coroner's office was also actually on lockdown. 58 autopsies don't include ballistic, photograph, diagrams, x-rays, histology, or toxicology reports. Why would the coroner's office not include this information, especially ballistics, in autopsy reports for the deadliest mass shooting committed by an individual in the United States, unless they had something to hide? I love this. I survived Crowds on Demand. Researchers can't find anybody who died in the Las Vegas massacre. Perfect. 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 Meanwhile, let's stay on this one for a while. Alex, your thoughts. I'm sure you have plenty.
Well, one thing we notice in a lot of these, we noticed it in Orlando too, that instead of these victims being transported in ambulances, they are put in the back of pickup trucks and supposedly taken to hospitals. But, and, your friend made a good point.
Mona. I mean,
Mona, it was Bennett, Scott Bennett.
Oh, Scott, yeah.
When he was talking about, the alleged suspect and the death photo.
Yeah.
And the way the bullets were placed, and
the shell casings are on top of the blood.
And there was an air cartridge.
Yeah. There was a CO2 cartridge. There were a pellet gun cartridge. There was blank cartridges. The prop master just threw them down. She didn't know the difference, Yeah. She thought, after all, they just want to get the effect. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Alex.
Yeah.
It's also awful. It's also awful. As they say, the devil is in the details. Yeah, Scott Bennett, who went to Ukraine and became a superhero, so they took him out. Sad to say. Monique, you want to add?
No, I'm sorry though about Scott. I remember that. He was great at your
This guy was a natural born leader. I don't think I've ever known anyone I thought that he was a natural born leader. Anyone else got questions about these?
Dr. Fetzer, I've got a tangent question, if I may be so bold.
Please, man, go right ahead.
Thank you. Was curious about, I don't know if there was any mention in regards to the Tasmanian shooting in Australia that resulted in the confiscation of Australian guns. And could we not surmise that if the guns were not taken from those Australians, they never would have had those massive COVID mandates and lockdowns in Victoria, for example, that were some of the most harshest in the world?
Oh, I'll bet you're right, man. I'll bet you're right.
The other situation has to do, thinking back to what was it Monica in Los Angeles?
Monique.
I get Monica mixed up with Monique.
Monique.
Right, sure.
Rhymes with unique.
Monique, I'm sorry. Thank you very much. I keep thinking, going back to one of the big elephants that's over in the corner here, and it has to do with the original lost laptop of a guy that was a former New York congressman. I don't remember his name.
Yeah, Anthony Weiner.
Yes, Anthony Weiner. And I can remember that he had a nom de plume that he went by online, and that he was actually busted for showing lewd pictures of his private parts. And that was a sitting U.S. congressman who was happened so much to be married to one of Hillary Clinton's girlfriends.
Yeah.
Do we?
Huma Hamilton.
Do we?
Go ahead.
Dr. Fetzer, do we ever hear anything about that original laptop from that congressman that was supposedly so incriminating?
Sure. There were like a dozen hard New York detectives who discovered there was a video there of Huma Abedin and Hillary Clinton torturing I think she was a 13-year-old girl. And it was just nasty. This is a adrenochrome type thing. And Hillary even cut off her face and was dancing around. And the girl had a lot of spunk, asking, "Why are you doing this to me?" And they killed her. And these hardened cops said, even Hillary's most dedicated fan aren't going to be able to excuse her for this. I believe 11 of the 12 are already dead. Let me just say, Mona's here and I didn't know it. Mona, I wanted you to speak up. You can't just be here and not let me know you're here. You did all that brilliant work on Las Vegas. Share with us. Tell us. Talk. I'm glad you're here. Very. Go ahead, Mona.
Well, I shared the video that remember the person from England that did that video on Las Vegas that was so good? I finally got that published on my YouTube channel.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, and I shared the link in the chat area.
I'm
I've been chatting the whole time on the side.
Really?
Yeah, like the Boston bombing. I have pictures of the Boston bombing brothers later on. Remember the California shooting where they had half the Las Vegas crew at they were part of the shooting in California. The brothers were standing in a donating blood line like a year after the shooting. The one brother, he was alive, and the other one was out of jail, which that didn't surprise me.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. I'm going to save. I don't know why I'm just still naive about these things. I'll be saving the chat, and I'm going to include it when I send it to you with the video tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah, check out the video. I know you remember it. You played it on your show a few times.
Yeah. Okay.
He sums it all up, and he did excellent work. I think he passed away. I think he passed away.
Mona, your work on Las Vegas was superb, just superb.
Thank you.
Anyone else want to add? We're hitting the 2-hour mark. I think we've covered quite a few, including some that may or may not have been in the part 1 and part 2. It's been so long since I created them. This was an earlier version. I think this is before I divided it into 2. Does anyone got any comments they'd like to add here by way of summing up? And that includes you, Ben, please. If you have further thoughts, Ben, now would be a great time.
Thanks, Dr. Fetzer. I'm just still in a quandary trying to figure out, do I join the Joan Rivers team in deciding that Big Mike was actually truly Big Mike instead of Michelle Obama? And I wish there was more material that we can go at, but as one of my old professors used to say, the man with that answer no longer is speaking because they're no longer with us.
Well, let me see what I can do here. I have something I'll be glad to share. I'll see what I can do to pull it up. Meanwhile, go ahead, Mona or Monique, either of you or others, go right ahead. Tell us.
Yeah, I have a question with regards to Joaquin, and I gave you an article yesterday stating that you put it out today. Is it a hoax that they're showing us a hoax for the Charlie Kirk?
No. He subscribes at the end. He says Vivian Lee got it right. He's very impressed. Very impressed. Vivian Lee got it right.
What about the Candace Owens? being targeted, possibly.
Hang on a second. I want to get this slide for you guys. Here we go. Oh, okay.
I don't know if anybody's aware, but Candace Owens put out on her Twitter that someone wants to assassinate her from France, the Macrons.
It's the president of France.
Right. Right. She
It's
put that out.
I mean, this is. I got a good one for you, everyone. Let's see here.
She's not doing her show this week because of it.
Yeah, I know. She's canceled her shows for the week. Let me see if I can get this up for
But I
you.
mean, why is she doing that if this was a hoax and likely Charlie is still alive? Yet she's being targeted.
It has nothing to do with Charlie. It has to do with her outing Bridget Macron as a man.
I see. But she's still stating that Israel is behind it, I thought.
Well, she seems to still believe that it was real. I can't account for that. But let me see what I can account for. This was a huge slide set. I had no idea it was so massive. But let me get you where we want to go in terms of Michelle. So just keep talking. I want to give me more, and then you'll see what I want to share, and it may answer Ben's question. Alex, more thoughts?
No, I don't have any right now.
Oh yeah, there's a whole lot more in here. Yeah, because I divided it into more about the Boston bombing, more about Sandy Hook, more about Las Vegas. Wow.
Does anyone have any comment on this Candace Owens assassination?
Yes, I do, Monique. It seems to me that Candace Owens has now placed herself front and center of the whole thing, which I find very strange. All the attention is now on her, which I found a bit odd, I have to say.
There you go.
I hear what you're saying. She was targeted last year. If you go to the New Jersey Department of Justice, there was someone who was wanting to kill her. She had said something about a rabbi and he didn't agree with it. I mean, it's likely
Okay.
she was targeted.
Here we go. The cost of looking good. Earrings, $2. Makeup, $60. Tattoo, $150 boob job, $6,000. Forgetting to tuck in your nuts, priceless.
That is just, I've never seen that before. That is awesome.
Doesn't that tell it all?
Well, also that, there's the pictures of Michelle / Michael from back in the day, where she's with Barack, but she's still a man. She's still Michael Robinson. And
Alex, I documented all that in 2020 when I gave my Deception Galore at the Volkswagen Conspiracy Conference, or in 2020. I've got the whole history there.
Yeah, and Michael in his football days, in his football uniform, and with the class picture, and it's clearly Michelle Obama.
Yes, of course it is. Yes. So look, anyone have any final thoughts here before we adjourn? And I'm going to save the chat. Any final thoughts? So I'll be sending you the chat tomorrow when I send you the video. Any final thoughts? Monique. I'll get you, Alex. Monique.
I'm trying to find the Department of Justice Candace Owens 2024 debacle where his name was Haim Braverman stated that he wanted to off her. That's all I have to say. I hope she's safe. I don't know what's going on.
Well,
Thank-
I'm a big fan of Candace. I'm a big fan. Mona, would you like to have more?
I actually found out the other day that Charlie Kirk messaged me on Facebook in February.
Really?
Yeah, twice. But
Oh, I didn't realize that was you with that fantastic hat. Tell us, what did Charlie have to say?
I didn't get the messages. They wiped his account. All I saw was his name, and they wiped the Facebook account and the messages. I couldn't see the messages, and I just discovered them the other day.
Well, my mistake for not having noticed you when you were there, right there, front and center from the beginning. But Mona honestly got your stuff on Las Vegas is sensational. Alex.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on it shows how easily the public can be deceived and duped on things, especially when it comes to people getting shot in the manner that they get shot, especially by an AR-15. You know, you made the point that it's not a large caliber weapon, and you're right, it's a 223. It's just slightly bigger than a 22. And what people don't realize is the 223 round was designed for maximum velocity and maximum impact on the body. So it's a small caliber, but when it enters the body, it expands and just tears through tissue. That's why you can be shot with a 223 round or 5.56 round. You can be shot in the leg, and it can go out the top of your shoulder. And I've told people, I said, if you want a comparison, and you have a fairly strong stomach, find some of these videos where people are actually shot in the leg by an AR-15, because a lot of times they end up losing their legs. And the fact that you can put Band-Aids over an AR-15 wound is just preposterous on its face. And I don't see how people even believe any of this.
Well, Alex, they don't think, and the media is all behind it, and they think they're going to be classified as weirdos or, God forbid, conspiracy theorists if they offer their opinions. So they don't. They just remain silent. I want to thank you all for being here. This being Thanksgiving Eve, half the class had other obligations, but I'm really glad you were all here. And I will be sending the video to everyone with a chat, which I have saved. I went back repeatedly to make sure I'd saved it. So you're going to get it all. And I hope you have an absolutely wonderful Thanksgiving tomorrow. And we'll see you again next week when we have our final class.
Dr. Fetzer, can I bring up a quick point?
Go ahead, Ben.
The streets are much safer. I just heard that the Son of Sam killer is up for parole in 2026 or 27.
Yeah. Well, how much safer will they be? Trump seems to like to get these people out on the street. What can we say?
Unbelievable.
It is.
Thank you, Dr. Fetzer.
A David Berkowitz day.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. It was wonderful. Jeremy, thank you for your contributions too. We'll see you next week. Happy Thanksgiving.